Skyblock's Foraging updates. Just a few days ago, Hypixel released the long-anticipated update trailer, and even fewer days ago, the admins dropped the even more anticipated alpha release. Unfortunately, you do need MVP Plus or higher to join, which I don't have, but fortunately, I am back on the Hypixel forums, so we'll be checking out the update info from here. But why stop there? We're also going to see what other people think about the upcoming update. That should be interesting. And what a better place to start than the Foraging Alpha update thread. The GOAT Varmin is back at it once again. What is this? This is the early test of the Foraging updates, which includes a complete revamp of the park, a brand new island, Galatea, the hunting skill with permanent attributes, a massive tech leap, uses latest Minecraft version mechanics, and dozens of new systems, mobs, tools, UI, and more. Here, as you can see, you do need MVP Plus or higher to join, as well as Minecraft 1.21.5. And for those of you curious, no, you will not need the newest version to play Skyblock, but you will need the newest version to join the Foraging Island. What's available to test? New Foraging Islands, tree chopping mechanics including sweep toughness and styles, the Heart of the Forest, which I'm sure we've all been expecting, new collections, which I'm very excited for when I actually see what they are, the full hunting skill, shards, attributes, and fusions, Gudra loot table changes, dozens of new items, mobs, and NPCs, new underwater pressure mechanic, which I am also very excited for, and more. We need your help. This is a huge update and your feedback is critical. So for those of you on the alpha who do find a bug, be sure to report it in the bug report section. And if you have feedback or ideas, be sure to share your thoughts either on this thread, which I will link down in the description below, or write a thread in the alpha section, which is the section this thread is in. And a quick note on the content of Foraging and the latest versions. It's important to mention and temper some expectations. Foraging is an update that comes with a lot of content, and a few features from the latest versions. Some of the stuff you guys may be expecting from latest may not have made it into Foraging right away. The best example of this are resource-packed menus. Foraging is a technological marvel, but mostly from the back end. A lot of the work necessary to bring you guys this update won't technically be noticeable from players' perspective, but it paves the way for future content, both within and outside of Skyblock, on the entirety of the Hypixel network. Yes, we are working on fancy resource-packed menus and UIs, and we'll be showing them off to you guys soon, TM. Alrighty, well, I think it's time to go to the Alpha Network section and see what some people have to say. But before that, everything in Galatea. I think we should just maybe check this out. This post will serve as documentation for everything I can find about the update. Also, this is interesting. All weapons that have the axe model have been changed to a sword. I believe this is due to trying to prevent confusion with the new mystic damage system, except dataless axe for some reason. Now my question is, what about the Axe of the Shredded? Because I feel like that is a pretty important axe, and axe is even in the name. So I wonder if this is going to be a temporary thing, just so people understand the update, or if this is going to be a permanent thing, in which case, what happens to the Axe of the Shredded? But anyways, here is some new equipment. Mangrove Locket. Seems like a pretty simple, maybe early game equipment. And we do have a Mangrove collection, alright. And a Fig collection? Is that Fig Wood too? Oh yeah, it's right here. Fig Log, Enchanted Fig Log, and Fig Stone. Alright, I'm surprised there isn't just, Fig the fruit in here. But maybe that is something else. Also seems like Decapitator got a change. It now has a sweep stat, plus 35, an ability, Throwing Axe. While on Foraging Islands, throw your axe at the tree. It'll sweep 50% of the logs it normally would. Okay. So unlike my original thoughts, throwing axes actually have a nerf instead. And there is another ability, Park Enthusiast. Gain plus 100 foraging fortune while on the park. And the monkey pet seems like it got a change. Grants a certain amount of foraging fortune. Gains speed while in the park or Galatea. And grants sweep while in the park. But not in Galatea. Okay. I guess that means monkey is going to be outclassed by something in Galatea? Or there's going to be a mythic monkey pet? I guess we shall see later. Attribute stuff. All attribute level ups give plus 1 Skyblock XP, and maxes out at 1872. Ability transfer. Using the bio anvil on this item will transfer 128 veteran attributes to your hunting box. Transfer 128 magic find attributes to your hunting box. God roll item plus 2 whatever that says. So I'm guessing if you already have attributes on your item, this is how you benefit from that. Not that I know what any of it does though. And it seems like the NPC that does this is gonna be very obvious. Oh wait, hold on, this is by the Can we zoom in here? Okay, so this is by the fusion machine, which means I'm assuming the fusion machine is gonna be for attributes, okay. And here's the Apex Dragon Shard. Dragon family. With unmatched agility and strength, Apex can strike down its enemies with devastating precision, leaving nothing but ruin and despair in its wake. Veteran 10 Combat grants 7.5 combat wisdom. Okay, and so I'm guessing if you get 128 shards, that's the max amount. So you're still gonna need the same amount of shards that you need now, but you only need one set of them, which is actually a pretty big nerf to attributes for armor and equipment pieces, because instead of stacking it 4 times, you can only stack it once. Interesting, okay. Okay, and here are the Ananke feathers, I think, maybe, are items which you can use to give any RNG meter of your choice progress. Oh, okay, so that is actually pretty beneficial if you have a god roll item. How much progress? I am not sure, but I hope it's actually worth it considering how expensive god rolls are. And here's the attribute menu. Snow Elemental 3 grants +4 intelligence. Source Blizzard Shard. Legendary rarity and enabled. Siphon 1 more to level up. So from this, I'm guessing attributes are just going to be a passive bonus now, which you can level up by getting attribute shards, and the better an attribute, the rarer the shards are going to be, if I had to guess. The left click to open menu shows how to achieve specific attributes in more detail. Okay, this is actually very nice. Imagine easily telling people how to get the thing that they want to get. Couldn't be accessories. And even more importantly, all attributes can be enabled simultaneously, which definitely seems like a choice. That means as more attributes are added over time, that's gonna be very, very overpowered. Oh, again, here's Kiara. I thought she was gonna be part of the berry picking portion of Foraging, but I guess she's for attributes instead? Because as we see here, Gecko, Echo of Sharpening 1. Your sharpening attributes are +2% stronger. You can save on this shard from your hunting box. Rare Forest Shard. And this one has 1 stock remaining, which means I'm assuming it doesn't stack? So not all attributes are going to go to level 10. Very, very interesting. Oh yeah, I guess it would make sense to show the rest of the other ones. Eel, Elastic 1. Increase bullseye +1 when using your fishing nets. Crocodile. Oh, and this one you can actually stack. You can buy 2 of them. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe these do go up to level 10 and you just need to get these by actually, hunting the animals, considering attributes are part of the hunting skill. So it seems like the ones you can buy here in this shop from Kiara are capped at a certain amount. But I'm assuming you can get these same attribute shards from hunting these specific animals wherever they are on the island. Well, anyways, we have the next one, Crocodile. Pure Reptile 1, grants +2% chance to double shards from Reptile Fusion. And Viper, Hunter's Fang. Your hunting scythes gain +1 more stats from the weapon they hold. So what are hunting scythes? And Vitality 10, which I'm guessing comes from Kudra, grants +20 Vitality. Shellwise, Reptile and Turtle family. These turtles are often seen meditating near tranquil waters. Shell, gain 0 to 10% regular knockback resistance. Ooh, interesting. So we're actually getting forms of knockback resistance that isn't just Shellmet or Turtle Pets. And now it is collection time. Of course, we saw the Fig Log, and Foraging 60 does in fact exist. Oh, is that all the collections? Was there not a mangrove collection? Well, clearly there are more collections in here. And now hunting. Hunt various monsters to earn hunting XP. And you get Charming. Per level, grants 0.4% chance to charm the mobs you defeat and capture their shard. +1 Siphon luck, huh? I would assume Siphon luck also affects the drop rates of those shards? Maybe. And Heart of the Forest. To level up your perks, you will need Forest Whispers. These are obtained by cutting trees. And I'm guessing that's the thing where you need to break at least 10% of a tree to get. And it does look very much like the Heart of the Mountain. You can gain Heart of the Forest XP from tree gifts and during Starland contests. And it seems like Respiration also got changed. So now Respiration itself is actually a stat, which increases the amount of time you can stay underwater. Ooh, and there's a Jade Dragon pet? Wait, so what does this do? Is this just a super enchanted egg, 128 enchanted fig logs, and 128 enchanted feathers? Surely that's not the recipe, because that sounds like super cheap for the equivalent of a dragon pet. Huh, I guess we'll see. Mangrove trees require 50 sweep to be broken. So is sweep like the new breaking power, but also block spread? Maybe. Oh, also here is a new collection, Lush Lilac. I don't know what it is. Oh, wait, no, that's the berry. Okay. And more Skyblock XP, of course. Heart of the Forest, Center of the Forest, which I'm assuming is Core of the Mountain, but Foraging, and Tree Gift Milestones, which I'm assuming you level up by just getting tree gifts by participating in breaking a tree. And let's go. We actually got some, okay. We love fishing content out here. I will absolutely be making a fishing video when the Foraging update drops on main. We also got a new fishing NPC, and another collection, Sea Loomies. I don't know if that's gonna be in fishing or in foraging. And oh, okay, Golden Dragon buff, because it absolutely needed it. Symbiosis. If you own a level 200 Golden Dragon, gain plus 5 coins per monster kill for every other unique max combat pet that you own. Okay, so it's not a major buff, but now you just get more money for killing things if you have other combat pets at max level. Interesting. Surf Strider, okay. Wait, this is, I'm guessing, one of the new sea creatures? New mob in the lava area. Oh, okay, so these aren't sea creatures then. Ooh, and new essence shop, Trapped. Your traps now catch creatures 1% faster, and it uses forest essence. Extreme Pressure, increase your pressure resistance by 3. Lumberjack, increase your foraging fortune by 2. Tasty, your berry items are 2% stronger. Okay, so berries are going to be used to make something that you might be able to consume, and then you get a buff from it. So we are actually possibly getting a form of cooking. Forest Training, increase your foraging wisdom by 2 while on foraging islands. Wooden Bait, ensures your next good catch hooks a rare fish shard. Ooh, wait, is this for treasure fishing? Is that how you unlock certain fishing attributes? Will not be consumed if no rare shards are available to catch. Oh wait, is this like actually a bait that you consume? So it's not a perk, okay. You know the fish items? Coral collects them. Oh, okay, these are god temples. So it was actually a puzzle sort of thing. Well, what is a god temple? Starborn Temple. You now permanently gain the passive effect from its will. Visit the altar to become a benefactor for bonus effects. What kind of bonus effects? All Starborns have a will, which grants stats to players in Skyblock. The more benefactors a Starborn has, the higher the stats. For Starborn's will, all players on Galatea receive 1 foraging fortune. Oh, wait a second, is it 1 per benefactor? There has to be diminishing returns on this, surely. Custom days. Enter a custom amount of days to donate. Oh, okay. So to be a benefactor, I'm guessing you have to pay this cost shown here. Honestly though, that doesn't seem too expensive, all things considered. I'm sure if you get like more late endgame foraging, you could probably get 2 enchanted fig logs in 1 break. But anyways, that seems like it is... Never mind. I was gonna say that's it for the images, but that is very wrong. Donate to the Forest Starborn. By donating to this Starborn, you will become a benefactor. Benefactor bonus, axes you throw are 25% larger and 25% faster, as well as 2 times foraging fortune from the will bonus. Okay, so you do become a benefactor by donating, and then you also get additional bonuses if you are a benefactor. And then I'm assuming if you activate the temple, you get the bonus of the will, but that actual bonus still depends on how many people become benefactors. Okay. And Jade Dragon Egg. Okay, so it's gonna be another level 200 one. Oh, okay, wait a second. This price cost makes a lot more sense. Also, enchanted emerald blocks are rising in price rapidly. But yeah, this price makes a lot more sense compared to the other pet recipe that was shown. And it seems like we did make it to the end of the thread. That is a lot of information to go through. Man, I am genuinely excited for the foraging update though. Definitely not because there's new fishing content. Why would you assume such a thing of me? But really, it is so long overdue for foraging to be like an actual skill. And thankfully, it seems like the admins have given it the mining treatment, where the skill is actually interesting now and isn't just farming, but in garden. Well, with this thread gone through, let's see what other people have to say about the update. Oh, well, it seems like there is another full breakdown. The good stuff. The hunting skill. Okay, so it seems like this is actually going to be pretty good. From the sound of it, it looks like there's going to be a lot of variety, which I would sure hope so, considering if you're hunting animals or mobs for these attribute shards, there's a lot of things you can do with that. The visuals. Visually, the update slaps. The build team is goated as usual. The story and tutorial. Okay, so there is actually a story. That I am also excited for. The water pressure system. Oh, so it is actually interesting then? For the first time in forever, water isn't just a harmless blue puddle you swim through while ignoring oxygen. Now it can actually kill you. It adds tension and risk and hopefully gets reused in future updates. That is true, it actually makes the environment of the area a little more interesting. It's something you actually have to consider instead of just being a place that you happen to be in. And 50/50s, alright. Okay, was it a K or is it an N? Okay, it's Anak Feathers here. Was it always a K or was it an N last time? I have no idea. Oh, okay, so they aren't just for players that had God Roll items. So the items themselves are actually pretty good, but you can also get them from Kudra, which is an interesting choice. But yeah, I do agree this probably shouldn't be a grindable material in the game, and instead should just be something that players who had God Rolls happen to get as compensation. The foraging skill itself. So it is really just mining and farming, but trees. I mean, at what point could chopping trees be too different from what it already is? Well, I think it could have been cool to see something completely different. I don't know how different they could have made it to where it's still foraging, but maybe I'm just not creative enough. And the gear. So it sounds like the only reason progression isn't scuffed is because there's barely any progression in the first place. Of course, I haven't seen the items myself, so I can't really say anything. But yeah, I feel like what makes new content so exciting is if you have something worthwhile to grind for. But if everything you can get from the update is kind of just okay, people are going to feel significantly less motivated to actually go for it. But again, I haven't seen the items, I can't really say anything for sure, but that's what it sounds like from this. And now the bad stuff. Kudra loot pool is a joke. Attributes on armor were removed and instead were replaced with the feathers and other filler items which aren't mentioned. Now, I don't play Kudra, and I also don't know what the new items are, but I'm gonna assume it's not good. The attribute rework is a mess. Oh, okay, so it seems like not only are you getting less stats from your attributes, because you only benefit from 1 tier 10 compared to, at most, 8, but the attributes themselves were also nerfed, which is a very interesting decision. Like here, is it shown on the wiki at all? If I look up attributes, and then if we go down to speed somewhere. Okay, here it is. Speed on armor and equipment. At tier 10 it gives 50, which means assuming you have tier 10 on all your armor pieces and your equipment, that would be 400 speed if you wanted that for some reason. But now, not only can you get speed 10 once instead of 8 times, but it also gives 1 speed per tier instead of 5. Huh, that is a decision and a half. Veteran used to give 50 plus combat wisdom, and now gives a pathetic 7.5. And the only real way to get it is hunting M7 dragons. Yeah, from the sound of it, it seems like attributes were kind of scattered across the game, and instead of compensating for having access to only one max tier of that attribute, the admins just nerfed all of them. In the grand scheme of things, it kind of makes sense because you have access to every attribute at all times, but at that point, I feel like attributes should just be buffed and you can only have a certain amount active at once. That way it adds customization and attributes themselves can still be useful. Kudra armor's left to rot. So it seems like Kudra armors were not buffed after attributes were removed. I'm actually surprised the admins didn't do this, at least not in this alpha. They should, they absolutely should, because from what I know, the Kudra armor sets don't give that much base stats over something like Storm or Necron, and at some point I'm sure you're getting very diminishing returns in terms of the stats you get for upgrading your armor sets. And the combat balance resets, again. Oh wait, was the damage calculation redone again? Or is it just talking about the increase in difficulty due to less stats players have overall? I'm assuming it's the latter. Again though, I haven't done Kudra, so I can't really say much about the difference in difficulty, but I'm assuming for the players that have done it, the difference is very drastic. Honestly, I think this was to be expected at the end of the day. The most controversial thing was going to be the changes to attributes, and while the admins made it work at face value, it seems like they didn't compensate well for what older content lost. Specifically Kudra, because that's how you got a lot of the good attributes in the first place. So yeah, hopefully the admins do make some changes. It does sound like though the actual foraging update is pretty good. All the new mechanics seem to be pretty well taken, and all the 50/50s are either things that can easily be changed, probably can't be changed without completely redefining the skills mechanics, and will change over time, hopefully sooner than later. There was no mention of the berry part of foraging though. because there's the chopping trees part of foraging, but I'm assuming the berry picking stuff would be a major alternative to wood. But I don't know, hopefully someone made a thread talking about it so I can actually know what it is about. Oh, okay, here's something about the Jade Dragon. Grant strength, magic find, and foraging fortune. Add forest power. Add strength and speed to all your axes. Jade scale. Grants foraging fortune and sweep for every digit in your mangrove collection. Dragon's pride. Grants X foraging fortune per Y sweep. Apex predator. Increases your total sweep by a percentage for every maxed out attribute you unlocked. And symbiosis. If you own a level 200 golden dragon, gain 20 foraging fortune. Oh, and what is this? Figstone Splitter. Ability Super Frenzy. Gain 1 sweep for every 10,000 logs cut on Galatea, with a max of 20, so a total of 44 sweep. Okay, so it seems like the main concern is that this is the first part of the foraging island, and yet we have the ideal endgame pet for foraging, which is a fair argument. If there are going to be more foraging islands added in the future, adding the dragon pet now severely limits the amount of pets that will be viable later. Like, sure, the cost is very expensive, but by adding the dragon pet now, you're giving people time to get this before the next foraging update is added, and so a lot of people will have this pet already, which means they won't really care about getting new pets outside of pet score. I don't know, on one hand I don't think it's a huge problem considering how expensive the cost is, but when looking at the long-term progression of the islands, it definitely wouldn't make sense to have the dragon achievable on the first island. Oh, this one is interesting. Hunting is on the right track but very flawed in execution. Of course I haven't seen the execution, so tell me what it is. Okay, so it's less about the hunting part of hunting and more so about the attributes. A lot of what's said here is things that I and other people have already said, so let's look at a possible solution. What I would propose is a system like gemstones. Introduce a way where instead of attributes being a global buff, just allow them to be taken off armor/gear and returned as a shard like gemstones do. This would allow not only current attributes to stay in a good place, but it would finally allow those niche attributes to have their time in the spotlight due to easy swapping. This I'm not sure of. I think my issue with this is certain attributes like Magic Finder Veteran just being thrown on literally anything. I don't know actually, it's hard for me to give a clear opinion on this because I'm very biased against attributes as item modifiers, but I feel like the concept of the attribute system shown on Alpha could work as long as it's fine-tuned well enough. The biggest issues right now seem to be Kudra not having a decent loot pool anymore, certain attributes being scattered all over the place in some very inaccessible parts of the game, and attributes not giving enough stats to compensate for only having access to one of those tier 10 attributes. Honestly, I think it would make a lot more sense to just limit the amount of attributes you can have active at once, buff the stats of attributes to compensate for lack of having multiple of the same attributes, and possibly add a prestige system where you can further buff an attribute and gain more of its stats by giving more attribute shards. Of course, it doesn't have to work exactly like that, that's an idea just off the top of my head, but the point is there are ways to buff attributes as they are on Alpha, while still keeping them as a sort of general mechanic. Alright, we've seen a lot of stuff about the attributes, but what about the actual foraging part of the foraging updates? Okay, Heart of the Forest suggestion. I don't know anything about the Heart of the Forest besides it being a Heart of the Mountain reskin, but I guess we'll see. Instead of having the player start from the bottom, have the player start in the center as a seed, with the playing area able to grow upward like branches, while also allowing the player to progress downward like roots. To expand on this, have the player required to pick one perk on the bottom and one perk on the top, otherwise have their tree topple over. I feel like it's a cool idea in concept, but in execution it would just feel awful compared to Heart of the Mountain. I don't know actually, I feel like it wouldn't be too much more limiting compared to Heart of the Mountain now that I think about it, though it entirely depends on how freeform the branches and roots are going to be. Regardless though, it would definitely help the Heart of the Forest stand out from Heart of the Mountain, but at the same time, if it's not broken, do you really need to fix it? Oh, okay, wait, so there are cutting styles. Wait, what is this? So, mangrove trees have a cutting style of branches to trunk, because very clearly more branches break when I go for them first compared to the trunk. Except once I'm finished with the branches, and I move on to the trunk, I still very clearly have a sweep debuff. Okay, so bug or not bug aside, I didn't realize there were different cutting styles. So depending on the tree, where you start cutting them makes a pretty big difference in how fast you're able to cut them down. I don't know if that's going to be more annoying or interesting. I guess it could be both, but I'd have to actually play the update to see how that feels in game. Do we have combat in Galatea? That is an excellent question. Yes, there were some mobs immune to damage from other weapons, but I haven't seen the actual mystic damage stat yet. Yeah, I did hear some stuff about mystic damage, but I have no idea what it is. Of course, I also haven't seen many of the new items yet, but it does seem like it functions similar to drills when you're killing mobs in mineshafts. Foraging Update Review. So it sounds like this is the first of 3 foraging islands planned to be added. And in that case, adding not the greatest gear is probably a good thing, just so better gear can be added when future islands are added. Though it also depends on how long it takes for those islands to be added. If it's too long, then you might as well add some pretty good gear at least for now, even if it is overly expensive. But honestly, I doubt it would take nearly as long to add the next islands compared to adding this first island. A lot of work was done on the back end mainly, so now that all of that is done, it should hopefully mean adding new islands in newer versions should be at least a little bit easier. Anak feathers aren't a bad compensation, but I don't think they should be a one-time thing. Also, making them temporary boosting items would just get annoying with all the endgame stat buffs you have to pull off nowadays. Well, at least from what I've heard. They apparently aren't one-time items, and they do drop from Kudra. Again, this is all allegedly. From what I've heard people say about them though, I think one of 2 things needs to happen. Either they serve purely as compensation with no way to get more of them in-game, but they're made significantly better, or they stay as a grindable aspect in the game, but you get significantly more as compensation this time. Either way, it just sounds like the compensation needs to be better. And here's someone actually talking about the new attributes, which I have not seen yet. At least not a lot of them. With max stats, we have Reborn. Killing a prince has a 100% chance to add 1 bonus score to your dungeon run. Rotten Pickaxe grants plus 30 mining speed. Combo, deal plus 1% more damage per Grandma Wolf Pet combo. And it is additive. Dragon Shortbow Improvement. Your Dragon Shortbow gains plus 20 more damage while in the end. Not gonna lie, I completely forgot this was a thing. Owl Friend. Your pet gains plus 20% more pet XP from Fun. Finally, my pets will be in here for 20% less longer. Hopefully. Ultimate DNA. Grants plus 10 mining fortune, farming fortune, and foraging fortune. And some other ones that are supposedly mostly balanced. Shell. Gain plus 100 regular knockback resistance. So basically Shellmets. But all the time. X Wisdom. Grants plus 5 wisdom. Of some kind. Oh, okay, I'm guessing there's one for each wisdom stats. Besides veteran. Maybe. Or it's just plus 5 global wisdom. Bigger Box. Plus 50% chance to get an extra item from treasure chest and crystal nucleus. Mountain Climber. Commissions grant plus 10 Heart of the Mountain XP. I'm guessing this doesn't affect powder if you are already max Heart of the Mountain. Visitor Bait. Guarded visitors arrive 10% faster. Pest Luck. Gain a 20% chance to obtain rare loot from pests. Wings of Destiny. Increase the odds of finding Anak feathers by 20%. Okay, actually though, is it Ananke? Or is it Anak? These are 2 different spellings of what I think are the exact same thing in this thread. Tuning Box grants plus 10 tuning points. Sack Size. Your sacks hold plus 10% more items. Faker. Dungeon blessings are 10% stronger on you. Pity. Your RNG meter fills 10% faster. And Cookie Eater. Gain plus 50% of your booster cookie bits up front. Alright, very interesting. Someone actually covering a good amount of the new attributes instead of just talking about Kudra attributes. Although those are important too. Surprising yet not really surprising, most of the threads here are about the new attribute system. And I feel like I've already given my thoughts about that. So I think for now, this is going to be where we're wrapping up the video. Hopefully at some point I can try to get onto the alpha. Of course that's if it even opens up for non-MVP Plus players, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, excluding the attribute stuff, it seems like Foraging has some pretty, at the very least, neutral, but hopefully exciting content. I know for sure I'm at least very much looking forward to the fishing content, because of course I am. But I guess I'll just have to wait and see when I actually get on the alpha, if I can. But once again, if you do have any feedback about the alpha test, be sure to share your thoughts on the forums. If there's any time to throw in your 2 cents, it's right now. Like really. For anyone that's ever complained about transparency with the admins, now is the time to voice your opinion when they're being the most transparent they've been in however many years regarding the foraging updates. But anyways, with all of that finally said, thank you all for watching, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.